Welcome everybody, I'm Adam. And in this problem, we're going to be finding all solutions of the equation tangent of x plus pi plus 2 times the sine of x plus pi equal to 0 on the interval from 0 to 2 pi. Now when solving trigonometric equations, kind of the way we go about it is getting all of our trig functions to one side and all constants to the other and trying to simplify from there. Now that's pretty much what we start with. Now actually what we have to start with is we have our equation set equal to 0. Now looking into the future, what we actually want to try to do is whenever you have an equation set equal to 0, the main thing from algebra you do is try to factor the left-hand side and set each factor equal to 0 and solve from there. But we'll simplify first. So how do we simplify this? Well, taking a look, we have tangent of x plus pi and sine of x plus pi. So we see the same angles, if we will, say u plus v occurring in both. So we can use our sum and difference formulas, namely, we have the tangent of u plus v is equal to the tangent of u plus the tangent of v divided by 1 minus the tangent of u times the tangent of v, and that the sine of u plus v is equal to sine u times cosine v plus cosine u times sine of v. Okay. So starting there, we're going to use the right-hand sides of each of these formulas to simplify our left-hand side of our equation. So the tangent of x plus pi is going to be equal to tangent of our u, or tangent x, plus tangent of pi divided by 1 minus tangent x times tangent of pi, and plus 2 times sine of x plus pi. And sine of x plus pi, we're using the right-hand side of our sum formula. So it's going to be 2 times the entire quantity, say sine of x times cosine pi plus cosine of x times sine of pi, and that again is all equal to 0. So what can we do from here? Well, we want to try to simplify this. And for starters, we can look at evaluating the trig functions we know, namely tangent of pi, cosine pi, and sine of pi. So coming all the way to the left, we know that tangent of pi is equal to 0. So in the numerator, we just have tangent of x. And in the denominator, we have 1 minus tangent x times 0. So actually that entire term will become 0. And over here, 2 times sine of x times cosine of pi. Cosine of pi we know is -1. And sine of pi we know is 0. Which again, cosine times 0 would make this entire term here 0. So putting it all together, what do we have? We have tangent x over just 1, which is tangent x, and then -2 sine x plus 0, so that's all gone. So all we have is just a -2 times sine of x, and this is all equal to 0. Okay, so what do we do from here? Well, like we said, when we have an equation set equal to 0, the main step in algebra is we want to try to factor this side. So we can set each factor equal to 0 and solve from there. So how can we factor this? Well, as it sits, we don't really have anything to do with tangent and sine of x. But if we turn tangent in terms of sines and cosines, I think we can do something from there. Namely, we have a sine in each term. So let's do that. So tangent of x is equal to the sine of x over cosine x. And this is -2 sine x. And that's equal to 0. So taking a look at this, Well, we see, okay, we want a factor. I have a sine and a sine. That could be brought to the outside. But there's one step we're going to do first, just to make our work a little bit simpler. Namely, solving equations is always easiest when you can get everything in the numerator's position. And we have a cosine down here on the bottom. So we can take care of that by multiplying through, say, left and right, by cosine. Okay? So when we distribute the cosine with our sine over cosine, the two cosines will cancel, leaving us with just sine of x. And distribute in, cosine times negative 2 sine x would give us minus 2 sine x times cosine x. And that is equal to 0 times cosine is still just 0. Okay, now we're in a good position to factor this. So like we said, we can bring a sine out. So factoring out a sine is going to give us a sine x times quantity, say 1, minus just 2 cosine x. And that is equal to 0. Okay, so we have it factored and set equal to 0. Like we said, now we can take each individual factor, set equal to 0, and solve from there. So we'll start with the sine of x. So we take our sine of x equal to 0 and try to solve that. Well, that's pretty straightforward. This is just asking what values of x give us a sine value equal to 0. Now, pausing for a moment, going back to the restriction we have, we want to find all solutions on the interval, including 0, up to 2 pi, not including 2 pi. So sine is 0 at 0, pi, 2 pi, etc. But on the interval from 0 to 2 pi, we're just going to have x equals 0 and pi, not including 2 pi. Okay? So there's the solutions for our first factor. And secondly, we're going to take our 1 minus 2 cosine x and set that equal to 0. And solve this equation. So if we subtract 1 and divide by negative 2, this gives us a cosine x equal to, say, positive 1/2. And same thing, on the interval from 0 to 2 pi, what values x give us a cosine value equal to positive 1/2? Namely, that's x equals pi over 3 and 5 pi over 3. Now let's go ahead and confirm this with a graphing utility. So with our graphing utility, go into our function input, and for our window, we'll take something similar to what we have here. And so if we press graph, so in total, the solutions to our original equation, tangent of x plus pi plus 2 times sine of x plus pi on the interval from 0 to 2 pi, are x equal to 0 and pi, and x equal to pi over 3 and 5 pi over 3. Thank you very much.